Hey friends, I am beginning, like this is the first one, a YouTube channel. I am Too Real Tracy. Um, a lot of my friends have suggested that I do this because I tend to have a lot of irons in the fire. I like to do a lot of different things, and um, my life just seems to be too real. And I think maybe a lot of people can relate to that, to parts of it. So I don't really have an angle. I don't have an approach. I don't have a plan. But we're just going to be real along the whole journey. Um, I am, just to give you a little bio, I'm not going to bore you with a lot of it because it'll come out eventually. Um, I am a 60-year-old, multiple marriage, multiple divorce woman. I live in the South. I was born and raised in the Midwest. I've lived in the Midwest. I've lived in the South. I've lived in New England. And then I came back to the South about 28 years ago. And this is home. So I don't really have the Southern accent unless I get really tired or I get kind of frustrated. Don't have the New England accent, don't have a Midwestern accent. I'm just kind of a mutt when it comes to accents, I guess. So I've lived kind of everywhere. I've been in the area of technology for my career for um, 30 some years, and I love it. I've been in the medical field, healthcare, uh, IT for a long time. I've done a lot of different things. So I've got a lot of perspective, I guess. A lot of different things have happened along the way. Like I said, so married multiple times, divorced multiple times. I've been single now almost 10 years and been in relationships, and we'll get into that. That's going to be a lot of stories, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, both men and women. Um, I'm not man bashing when I say some things. I'm kind of more people bashing in general. But I don't have pretty words. I am educated, but I'm not. I don't use big words. I don't use symbolism. I don't use pretty words, kind words, nice words. I just use the words that pop in my brain. And if it pops up here for half a second, it comes out my mouth. Um, Probably not always appropriate, but it's real. And that's really the thing here. We're just going to be real. And so I've had a few relationships since my divorce 10 years ago. I think I already said that, so get used to that because I forget. Like I said, I just turned 60 New Year's Eve last year, so maybe the memory is going, but let's see what else. So healthcare, IT, smart enough to do my job, love my job, so we're good there. Things I like to do, things I've done, things I have, my hands in right now. I have been a crafter for many, many years. I learned to knit and crochet back in my single digits. My grandma Foster, um, she knit. She knew how to knit, so she taught me to knit. And my mom was a crocheter, so I learned those back when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. And it's one of those things that I guess as a youngster back then, you didn't stick with it. There were other things to do. So I've kind of dabbled in and out of that, knitting and crocheting, but I've been doing it a lot, um, especially since COVID. So I guess back in 2020, I started really crocheting more and knitting more. So we'll talk about that. Um, I also create home decor, gift items. I have a Cricut cutter, so we'll talk about that and things that we can do with that and things I've done with that and show you some things you can do with it. Some are things where you can make gifts to give to others, or there are ideas where maybe you can start a little business and have a little side hustle. Um, had I had the time, I could have done more with that myself, but I just haven't. But I enjoy it. I have it. So we'll talk about that and maybe get some ideas from one another. What else? So I love home decor. As you can see, I'm not afraid of color. These cabinets, I've been in my house almost, well, about 4.5 years. They were white. They were white. Um, Last year, about this time, maybe, no, about a little earlier, so probably 14 months ago, I decided I was done with the white and the gray. I love the gray, but it was just too stark. I needed to change the mojo in my house. So I painted all the walls in the house, a couple of rooms. My craft room has not been painted because, as you'll see later, um, we really can't get to the walls. So just kind of be ready for that. Um, but so I painted the walls, I painted the cabinetry in the kitchen, in the entryway. I have a coffee bar. I am a coffee, I hate to say coffee snob, but yeah, I'm a coffee snob. So I painted everything, the bathrooms, bedrooms, my office. Um, and I feel like I kind of brought back like the colors from the 70s, but with this, they've been updated. So they're kind of like the gray tones of it. So I've got, kind of an orange. I have a gold. I have this beautiful green. It's a Sherwin-Williams color called Retreat. Um, Love it, love it, obsessed with it. So it's kind of everywhere. Um, but yeah, put up new backsplash. Um, Took it all the way to the ceiling. And so I do a lot of interior design, interior decorating. Um, and as of probably 7 weeks ago, 6 or 7 weeks ago, um, yes, like a lot of other people, I am now in my sourdough era. Um, so my house is kind of like sourdough'd. There's a freezer full of sourdough um, because it's like it's too good to throw it away, and I think maybe I'll find somebody that would want it. And so I'm still, well within the window of that it's usable. You can thaw it and reheat it. I'll show you how to do that. If you're interested in getting into your sourdough era, it's really not expensive. It's as expensive as you want to make it. But for the most part, it really is a healthier way of eating that bread. For those of us that have digestive issues, it's actually a lot easier on your digestive system to eat sourdough. And it's not just bread. I mean, I've made bagels, I've made Pop-Tarts. Cinnamon rolls, I'm still working on mastering those. Cinnamon is hard to work with. It really makes a mess. What else? Focaccia, of course. But there's a lot of things. So we're just going to take this journey together. I'll take you with me as I try some new recipes. And I have, for the most part, it's been successful. There have been some flops. And so we'll talk about that. What else? Like I said, I didn't come into this with a plan. It's, Easter Sunday, about 9:30 here in the East. And I'm just kind of, going with it because I'm not going to, come on here and talk about fluff. I'm not going to come on here and try to, BS you or tell you, things or talk about things that I'm not feeling. I'm going to just get on when I feel like I really have something that, has been put on my heart to talk about, or if there's something that has worked out really well, or something that has really not worked out well. I don't want this to be a place where I come and vent all the time. I will do it sometimes though. So I music is like a huge thing for me. I love music. At one point I had a small music venue down here, and started with, my ex-husband. And then when we divorced, I kept it. And so I had that for about 8 years. Taught line dance, love to dance, love music, family friendly environment. So it was not a bar, no alcohol, no drugs, no foul language. And we kept it that way. And it was successful. I had a great time, met a lot of wonderful people. Yes, it was a pain in the ass as well. but it happens. There's always going to be some bad with the good, but the good far outweighs the bad. Um, but yeah, so those are some of the things I'm thinking about right now, just that I have been involved in in the last 10, 20 years. So we'll talk about pretty much anything. But this is just kind of an intro to kind of who I am and what we might be getting into. Um, I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, or as my granddaughters and grandsons will say, I'm Mimi. Um, and I also have two great grands. So, I have of a full life, um, but I have, I guess I have a lot to say and a lot to share. And I'm hoping that it will help at least someone along the way to say, hey, I kind of was in that same situation. How did you handle it? Um, yes, I have nails done. They're kind of bad right now. So that'll be a whole conversation that we'll be talking about as well, because I don't know about you, but if you're somebody that gets your nails done and you've been doing it for quite a while, um, it's changed. It's a lot more expensive, but the quality has gone downhill. So we'll talk about that because that's really a pet peeve of mine. Because when I do something for someone, if I end up charging them for what I'm doing, it's going to meet my expectations, and I am a hard sell. I expect what I pay for, and I'm going to give you more than what you pay for. Um, oh, I also bake. I do cakes, cookies, cupcakes. Um, so we'll get into the whole buttercream. So I do have a micro bakery that I'm trying to start. It is called Sweet and Sour Bakery, because I have all the sweet stuff, and then I also have the sourdough. So I have a lot of people who think I can do pretty much anything and I'm good at it. I don't know if I agree with that. I just know that I'm willing to take on anything and try anything new, and I love a challenge. So and we'll talk about friendships, relationships. I think because over the course of our life, we will meet people. And for me, people are either in my life as a lesson or a blessing. And I've had a lot of both. So we'll talk about that. I happen to have makeup on today because, of course, I went to church this morning. Um, Normally, I'm not going to have makeup on. As you can tell, it's been a while since I've had my hair colored. Um, that's just who I am. As I'm evolving and changing as a person, I I don't care. I don't wear a ton of makeup, but there's a difference in my appearance between now and when I don't have makeup on. And I'm okay with showing all of it. So, as I said, I'm Too Real Tracy, and I will hopefully see you sometime very soon. Thanks for watching, and have just a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.